Hi everyone. So my group consists of me, Alex, Sierra, Tara, and Morgan, and we decided to do body image in adolescence. And for our research question, we wanted to do how can depictions of the female body on social media contribute to the development of body image problems in adolescent females?
All right, so a little overview of what exactly body image is and what can come from body image is body image is the way in which someone perceives their body and assumes that others perceive them. And body image is often linked to the way one feels about themselves as a whole, which can be known as self-esteem. Body image usually most affected by what friends, family, societal norms, and media thinks. And oftentimes, when someone has poor body image of themselves, this will ultimately lead to some kind of eating disorder. And adolescents, we can see substance use, suicidal thoughts, and also early sexual activity. So something that can come from body or poor body image is body dysmorphia, which is a mental disorder in which a person is preoccupied with an imagined physical defect or a minor defect that others often cannot see. People with body dysmorphia tend to think about their flaws for hours a day, and people with this disorder are constantly thinking negatively about themselves, even after being told by peers that the flaw is not visible. Um, so, body dysmorphia has the ability to cause some daily dysfunctioning and severe emotional distress. And some of this daily dysfunctioning that may be caused for adolescents includes not attending school, not being able to attend work, or not being able to attend social events because they're so worried that everyone else will be focused on their flaws and look at them in a negative way. And this may also lead to adolescents completely isolating themselves from everyone. And this could in turn lead the adolescent to having depression. Some behavioral and emotional signs and symptoms of body dysmorphia include dieting, obsession with weight and dieting, and skipping meals. And some physical symptoms include weight fluctuation, missed periods, and dizziness. Um, there does not seem to be any specific causes of body dysmorphia, but it was found that there are both biological and environmental factors that cause it to develop. Some of the factors include genetic predisposition, malfunctioning of serotonin in the brain, personality traits, and life experiences. And body dysmorphia is most common in adolescents and teenagers in the US, and it often begins around the age 12 to 13. Okay, next slide. Um, so one of the major causes of negative body image and body dysmorphia for adolescents is the use of social media. Adolescents, girls who post more online and seem to use Photoshop to edit their pictures more feel worse about themselves and their appearance, and this usually displays greater eating concerns. And some of these concerns include resisting food intake, completely removing certain food groups, or overeating to cope with their harsh negative feelings about body image. And negative body image in female adolescents can have a lot to do with who the adolescent is following on the social media platform. So it's very important to encourage your adolescent to follow body positive pages. And it was found that girls are more likely than boys to compare their bodies um, and looks more negatively to their friends and other celebrities on social media. Okay, so next is some research findings that we looked at.
So we looked at several empirical studies that detailed different research about the relationship between social media and adolescent body image. First, we're going to talk about how seeing depictions of adolescents on TV and social media increases body dissatisfaction in tweens. So, for example, TV shows like Vampire Diaries or Gossip Girl, where the actors and actresses are actually well into their 20s, but actually depicting 16 or 17-year-olds can be misleading and lead to body dissatisfaction in adolescents. The next empirical study detailed how increased media internalization leads to self-objectification. So the more media adolescents interact with and internalize, the more they feel like they are having to objectify themselves to match that standard. Then there's the social media depictions of the female body that create feelings of insecurity in adolescent females. So this pretty much means that the body image depictions we see on social medias make women and young girls feel insecure about their own body because they're trying to meet this unrealistic standard. Next is the social media having a direct impact on body image and other mental health risks in adolescents. So as was already mentioned, having a negative body image can lead to body dysmorphia, or it can lead to depression, anorexia, bulimia, a bunch of health risks. The next empirical study talked about how adolescents allow social media to decide whether their body's up to standards with everyone else. So a lot of things we see on social media are photoshopped or edited, and if adolescents see that and think that that is the norm or the standard they should be living up to, then they have body dissatisfaction. And lastly, we want to talk about the thin ideal, especially as portrayed in the media, and how it has effects on body satisfaction of both healthy women and women who struggle with eating disorders and other mental health issues. So when they see this thin ideal that is portrayed through the media all the time, they think that their bodies must look like that, even though it is an unrealistic expectation. And whether the woman in question is healthy or struggling with eating or mental disorders, it still has this effect of making them feel inadequate.
So for effects of social media, popular social media platforms today like Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok present a lot of content with poor reflection of body image, and it's negatively affecting mental health of young adolescents. These platforms have strong recommendation-based algorithms that consistently repeat similar content. One new and trending concept that's most commonly seen on TikTok is hashtag what I eat in a day videos of young women glorifying their eating disorders by only consuming 1,200 calories a day. And this type of content is present on all forms of media promoting unhealthy and disordered eating behaviors. Adolescents are spending more time now than ever, especially over the last year, just scrolling through their phones and just being constantly fed this kind of content. And now that there's such a blurred line between fitness and disordered eating because of social media, and these platforms were originally made to bring groups of people together, create a sense of belonging, and for people to share their content. However, these sites can be so triggering and detrimental to those struggling with body image, those struggling with body positivity or an eating disorder, and even those that are in recovery. But there are some inspiring and positive content related to eating disorders that can send a good message. And there are influencers out there that share content kind of just showing their journey through recovery and promote social media communities for growth and support, and people who support body positivity and just demonstrate that no matter shape or size, that all bodies are beautiful. So next I'm going to go into some statistics. So here I've presented some quite shocking statistics related to social media and body image. So 35% of people are worried about being tagged in a photo that they think they don't look good in. 27% are stressed about how they look in photos online. 22% felt bad about themselves if their photos were ignored. And the next slide also shows more shocking statistics. And the one that stood out to me the most is that eating disorder problems have increased by over 400% since 1970. And this is just a very strong numerical that supports their research findings that social media and body image just have a very, very poor relationship. And next we'll be talking about more specific types of eating disorders.
There are 3 common eating disorders among adolescents all around the world today. Due to the pressures of social media of having the perfect body and perfect life, eating disorders in adolescents are commonly correlated with social media. The first one is anorexia nervosa, which is characterized by a refusal to maintain a minimally normal body weight. It is often thought about as not eating, but can also involve overexercising, taking laxatives, or other ways of restricting calorie intake. The emotional experience of individuals with anorexia tends towards intense fear and anxiety around weight gain. The average age of onset is that it peaks at 14 and again at 18, with some adult onset, and then occurs in 90 to 95% in females and 10 to 1 in males. The second most common eating disorder is bulimia nervosa, which is characterized by a recurring episodic pattern of binging and then engaging in compensatory behavior, such as purging or excessive exercise to restrict calorie intake. There are 2 subtypes of compensatory behavior regularly engaged in by individuals with bulimia. The first is the purging type, which is when you compensate via self-induced vomiting or misuse of laxatives, diuretics, or enemas. And then there's the non-purging type, which is where you compensate via fasting or excessive exercise. The average age of onset of this is that it peaks at 18, and adult onset is super rare, but it also occurs in 85 to 90% in females and 10 to 1 in males. The last common eating disorder is binge eating disorder, which is characterized as frequent episodes of excess food consumption. The symptoms have a significant negative impact both on the physical health of the sufferer and on their mental state, as some of them include eating more rapidly than normal, eating until feeling uncomfortably full, and eating large amounts of food but not feeling hungry. The average age of onset is often later, like in late adolescence and early adulthood, with a much larger range of onset, and occurs in about 50%, but maybe a little more female. In relation to my group's research question, it is important to note these eating disorders and how common they are among adolescents, as depictions of the female body on social media contribute to the development of body image issues and eating disorders in this age group. I'm going to pass it on to Sierra to tell you about ways to help adolescents if they are struggling with their body image.
So you may be wondering how to help. One of the first things you can do is if you notice someone with negative body image, instead of trying to correct the behavior or thoughts, you can sympathize and empathize with them and let them know it's okay. Next, it's important to model body comfort. Adolescents commonly look up to role models, peers, and family members, and if they see the people that they surround themselves with modeling their own body comfort, then they can take these tips and apply them in their own lives. The third thing is to avoid sexualizing, which is one of the really toxic traits of media these days, is the over-sexualization of the female body, and it's important to try to stay away from those images. Next, it's proven that exercise, even if it's just a 30-minute walk a day, can really help with body positivity and overall health. It's also important to encourage role models of all shapes and sizes. So instead of just following or paying attention to influencers who fill out the thin ideal, it's important to look at all different models of different shapes and sizes. Next, it's important to watch for body dysmorphic disorder, and if you see any of these symptoms in a friend, loved one, or family, it's important that you let them know you're there for them and help them find resources to help. It's also important to focus on health over image. So instead of repeatedly looking in the mirror, focusing on nutrition and exercise and feeling overall healthy. Lastly, it's important to acknowledge the unrealistic standards set by social media, the Photoshop, the editing, and the unrealistic depictions in TV shows all lead to this unrealistic standard that cannot be fulfilled and shouldn't be fulfilled by all female adolescents. Then there's a few resources like the NEDA, which is the National Eating Disorder Association, About Face, and Proud to Be Me, which are all organizations that work to help adolescents increase their body positivity, and they have chat rooms and other resources to help increase body positivity. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed the presentation, and now we're going to flip through some of our resources.